You're listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, where you get valuable information you just can't find anywhere else. To thrive in today's trying times, you need the Financial Survival Network, now more than ever. Go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com and get your free newsletter and gift. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.
Welcome. You are listening to the Financial Survival Network. I'm Kerry Lutz. Today is Inauguration Day, 1/2021. What will the new administration bring? Real estate has been on fire. There's a proposal that we'll be talking about in a little bit that perhaps could reignite or further ignite the market. That remains to be seen. And right now we got real estate expert Andrew Ragusa with us. And Andrew, based in Long Island, New York, CEO of REMI Realty. And Andrew, welcome to the show. If you've got any questions, what's your experience been with real estate over the past year? I'd love to hear about it. Just send me an email, kl@kerrylutz.com. So Andrew, you got 5 top predictions for the housing market for 2021. What's number one?
Well, Kerry, first of all, thanks for having me on the show. I'm excited to be here. And the biggest thing that I was really talking about in that article is that, right now there's a whole surplus of people who are social distancing. The fear from COVID is real, and a lot of people experience it. With that being said, there's a lot of homeowners who have not listed their property yet that want to move but will not move until they learn that it's safe to do so. Same thing with buyers. There's a bunch of buyers out there who want to make moves, but again, they're practicing social distancing. They don't want to start walking through a stranger's home. Sellers don't want strangers walking through their home right now. And my prediction is that once vaccine distribution continues and you start getting word from the top down that it's okay to take your mask off, there's going to be an explosion in real estate activity, both an injection of properties and a surplus of buyers trying to get out there and grab it.
So there's buyers who won't look and there's sellers who won't sell.
Right.
So, all right, assuming the vaccine, the efforts at vaccination are successful, in any event, all pandemics eventually fade out. That is a fact of life. It's not going to be with us forever. These are events of limited duration. So you think there's pent-up demand and there's pent-up supply, and that once this thing gets underway, it's going to be unstoppable.
Well, yeah, I do anticipate it being very busy. People listing and properties selling super fast. And I do anticipate there being migration patterns away from areas like New York, California, and there are going to be increased buyer activity in locations like Texas, Florida, the South and Southeast specifically is going to be hot territory where people are going to start moving to.
And they've already been, let's face it. I live in Florida, in northern Palm Beach County. The market has been on fire. The development where I live, every 4 houses they sell, and they're selling 4 or 5 a week, they raise the prices. I mean, I've never seen anything like it, Andrew.
Yeah, no, and there's still, it's funny thing is that there's still so much more land to develop. It's like they're not even done. So the amount of people who are going to be migrating and being brought down to your area, I think it's going to be something to watch and just be in awe of,
Yeah. Well, there's a lot of reasons. There's demographic reasons, there's climate reasons, and there's political reasons. And there is a perception that the South has dealt with the pandemic in a far more positive manner, or a far less negative manner than many in the Northeast. We had a lockdown briefly in Florida, but then it was opened up within a month, and we kind of haven't looked back, and the state is booming. Well, so we've got problems, though, in the Northeast. How are people going to... how are they going to get their homes sold in New York to move to Florida?
It's a great question. It's funny that you bring up the leadership in Florida, too, because the eyes are on Ron DeSantis and, people in here in Long Island, New York, around the city. I hear people have talked about how great Florida was managed and how well everything went down there. And despite all the negative attention that we received, it had positive results. So it just goes to show you what proper management looks like. And it's attractive. It's attractive because on the opposite side of the spectrum, we watch New York City burn.
Yeah.
And, that's one of the, driving factors that people are going to say, I'm out of here. Now, as for selling their current home, I don't know, man. I know there will still be a demand because there are a lot of people who are exiting Manhattan and making moves throughout the suburban areas in Long Island. But I don't know how long that'll last. I don't have a crystal ball. If I knew, I'd probably make a lot more money.
Yeah, well, it is rather shocking, the deterioration of the city, the inability to rule or lead, is just kind of shocking here.
Yeah.
And the lack of leadership in the city, in the state, I can't even believe it. When I look at it, I just don't even believe it. Well, so here's the thing. But looking ahead, President Biden has proposed a one-time $15,000 tax credit for new home buyers. How big a difference is that really going to make?
Well, here in New York, $15,000 doesn't even cover your closing costs. So I'm not too sure how that's going to help. I guess some money is better than no money. There are other incentives where, like, for example, in Nassau County, Long Island, a first-time home buyer can get up to $30,000 of assistance from the county. So maybe that compiled with, Biden's offer and any other, programs they might be able to get their hands on. There are other government grants available. It could compound and, make it nice. But it's just like any other time free money is given out. It's got to come from somewhere. So, it's going to have a rippling effect in some other location. And I guess we'll just have to see how that plays out.
And as we know, nothing is really free, right?
Right.
At some point, you are going to have to pay the piper. And at that point, what then? That's really the question. And so let's take a look at your other predictions there. So the South is rising. We know that. The Northeast is kind of in its denouement. What other trends are we seeing here for the year?
So there's something else that a lot of people have not been paying attention to, and that is all the REO properties, real estate owned. That is foreclosures, short sales. All these properties have essentially been on hold, not just because of the memorandum on evictions, but previously, anytime you've gone to a real estate auction prior to 2020, they're usually selling off properties from 2 years behind. So if you're in 2019, 2017, 2018, foreclosures were being sold because it takes some time to get through all these properties. And then, there's also ways to delay the foreclosure process. And every state is different, obviously. But, it does take time to offload the property. Mm-hmm. So for all of 2020, for the most part, everywhere around here in New York, New Jersey, most of the markets that I was watching and moving, buying properties in, they have had that auction closed. The courts have been closed overall, and it's happened in plenty of states. So this is also going to be another injection of properties that have to be sold off, which will investors will grab, I'm sure, very quickly, and then put them back on market.
Yeah, so foreclosures, we've had this moratorium. There's millions of people who are in arrears on their mortgages. And are they going to be bailed out by a rising market, or are they going to be involuntary sellers, or are they just going to get what they can and move somewhere else?
Don't just survive, thrive. The Financial Survival Network.
Lumina Gold, ticker symbol LUM on the Toronto Venture and LMGDF on the OTC, is yet another of legendary mining investor Ross Beatty's Lumina Group. It's advancing the largest primary gold deposit in Ecuador. The resource is estimated to contain 16.7 million ounces of gold and 2.2 billion pounds of copper. At just $7 US per ounce gold equivalent, it trades at an incredible 13% of its net present value. More good news is on the way with an updated PEA study expected in Q2 of 2020. It has unparalleled infrastructure. There's grid power to camp with plentiful, inexpensive hydropower available. It's close to 2 ports and is just 8 kilometers from a paved highway. Water is plentiful. It's at low elevation, and the closest community community, which is very supportive of Lumina's effort, is just a 7-kilometer ride. With all this going for it, it's likely to follow the typical Ross Beatty formula, which means big returns to shareholders. Find out more and sign up for notifications at luminagold.com. That's Lumina, Lumina gold.com.
This is the Financial Survival Network, the information you need to thrive now more than ever.
I'm not sure, but I do know that the solution that has been put in place has been very short-sighted and very one-sided. In fact, I believe New York is the first state to actually put something into writing that actually had some sort of protection for the landlord. They recently passed a law, or Cuomo, I know he announced it, I'm not sure if it passed, that they were having this new proposal where not only the tenant is not allowed to be evicted, but the landlord cannot be penalized or foreclosed on if they faced a financial hardship due to a tenant not paying. And they would have to show documentation. So it's the first time they've ever mentioned a landlord in any sort of legislation. And the fact of the matter is, what people are not paying attention to is when you think landlord, most people think rich people. But in reality, it's not always the case. You're not talking about the super wealthy. You're talking about most people who own properties are middle-class Americans. They might have been saving and they're looking to create some extra income. So they buy an income property, they rent it out. Maybe they have two. They've been saving for a long time. But for the most part, this is not the super wealthy hurting. This is the middle class hurting. So something needs to be done to help the landlord because it's all a trickle down.
Yeah. So what's your prediction here? Obviously we've seen real estate prices go up, but now this captive, or I guess it was like during the last housing crisis, the shadow inventory is going to come to the forefront. Is it going to depress prices or is it going to balance out?
Well, I think in the beginning there will be a momentary surplus, but if the demand keeps going the way it's going, because at the moment it's kind of like a feeding frenzy here in Long Island and in parts of northern like Westchester area, where people have just been grabbing properties, over asking. I just sold a property myself in Bergen County, New Jersey, because I flip houses and sell them as well. And I just got $45,000 over my asking price. I mean, so when I tell you it's hot, it's very hot. People are trying to get away from the urban area and move into suburban areas. So I think even when these properties come, there will be a momentary surplus, but I don't think it's going to last. I do believe it'll be eaten up very quickly. The offers are just too high right now. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I gotcha. And interest rates. That's a big question mark there. We don't really know what they're going to do. What do you see ahead?
I'm not sure what they're going to do either about the interest rates. It would be silly at this point to put them back up, because the reason they were dropped is to stimulate and make people make moves and take action. And there's been so many jobs lost that and people just need to economically recover. So if you're going to start raising prices and make it not possible for people to purchase homes and borrow money, then, it just kind of seems counterintuitive. I would anticipate that they would leave it down.
All right. So we're thinking mortgage rates are going to stay flat, maybe slightly higher for the coming year?
Yeah, maybe. Yeah, if people get back to work, it's possible they'll raise it up a little bit.
Yeah, well, interesting. Now that the inauguration's taken place, all of a sudden, all of these governors who were shutting everything down are talking about opening everything up. With very hastily, very quickly. There's no mention of coronavirus or anything else. It's just it's just...
What a coincidence.
Yeah, isn't that surprising, huh? In the meantime, you look in places like Michigan, a third of the small businesses are gone and not returning. You look in New York, 40% of the restaurants have shut their doors, never to return again. And for what? Got to wonder, hey, what's the biggest thing you're expecting for 2021 when we look back at this next year?
I think the biggest thing that's going to happen right now is an explosion of migration, where people are going to start really paying attention to who's in charge and what type of leadership is happening in those states individually before they decide where they're going to live anymore. So I think a big move to the south is coming. I think that's going to be the biggest, most significant thing.
Hey, so, if I can paraphrase you, Andrew, what you're saying basically is there's going to be an awakening, and it's already taking place, arguably, due to poor policies in these high cost, high taxed, overtaxed environs like New York, California. You know who you are. You know if you live there. It's leading to a migration. And it's not just a migration from the taxes, but it's a quality of life migration. It's a search for stability. And, it's funny, to think that you'd be looking down south. Down south has always been historically more violent, higher crime rates than the Northeast, than the North. And it's a little bit ironic that everything old is new again, and yet.
Well, now they defunded us. They defunded the police, so it's going to reverse.
That should solve the problem of crime, because if there's nobody there to count the crimes, then there is no crime, and that seems to be what they're all about. It's a failed model of governance here. I think we both agree. And
absolutely.
The interesting thing is, it's going to become very, very obvious in 2021 and beyond. And what will the people do? Is it the best solution to just move the hell out, take your family, go to a place that's safer, lower tax, that you have a better quality of life? Or do you fight on? I think a lot of the fighting's already been done. I think now, like you said, the migration is underway and there's nothing that's going to stop it. Andrew, we want to find out more about you, connect with you on the web. How do we do that?
Sure. So, we can go to my website, which is REM as in Michael, agency.com, REMIagency.com. Or the most popular way people seem to reach out to me is through Instagram. And my handle is at Andrew_Ragusa_.
All right. Excellent. And any questions for Andrew, myself, you can always email us at kl@kerrylutz.com. Make sure you go to our website, financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Sign up for our newsletter. It's free. Just sent one out yesterday. And while you're at it, the Twitter feed's at Kerry Lutz, the Facebook page, Financial Survival Network. Andrew, been a pleasure. Happy 2021, and may all your wishes come true.
Thank you, Kerry. Appreciate it.
Thanks for listening to Kerry Lutz's Financial Survival Network, your solution to today's trying times. For the latest, go to financialsurvivalnetwork.com. Financial Survival Network, now more than ever.